we just have to wait out 3 more years of a presidency that's tearing apart our democracy. No, we don't do that, because there's the hate and there's the fear out there, and if we don't fight, it could change us. And that's why we fight. And we fight. Look, I was just watching 3 different videos of the shooting of the 37-year-old man in Minneapolis. And I watched the 3rd video, showed the officers kicking him, pounding him, and when he was on the ground is when they shot him. That is not America. And so, here's what I say though, because with the chaos that's out there, and I'll give you a quick little story. Years ago, when Brunner was Speaker of the Ohio House, this is way back in the 80s and the 90s, or early 90s, I was talking to a lobbyist because my job was to be Sherrod Brown, who was Secretary of State, was to be his legislative person. And Brunner thought Sherrod Brown was a big hippie, and he didn't like him. And because there was a rump caucus that existed at the time. And so I'm asking Paul Tips, who was the state party chair years ago, who was then, by that time, a premier lobbyist, Paul, what do I do? And he said, Jennifer, you gotta remember one thing. Bern can only be mad at 5 people at a time, because that's too much else to keep track of, and sooner or later you're gonna fall off the list. And it's true. And so, when I was Secretary of State, I said, Paul was exactly right. And so I never was gonna be mad at more than 5 people at a time. But Donald Trump is like on a rotating machine with a machine gun over and over and over again. And that's the kind of chaos that we and the people around him are dealing with every day. But the point is, so you think like, what do I do? What do I do? So when I became the last Democrat on the Ohio Supreme Court, I said, start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. That is not original to me. I found it as a quote from Arthur Ashe, the tennis player, who must have not had the easiest time being black playing tennis at the time that he was quite a good champion. And you know what? I found that it really works. And so whether you can just be in a No Kings protest every weekend here in town, or whether you can work on someone's campaign, or whether you can letter write, start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. When a lot of people do that, the result is greater than the sum of its parts. And I've seen what's been happening in Ohio, especially in more remote areas like this, where all of Fremont, Democrats win. All of Lake County, this is in 2023 or 2025, all of Democrats win. Columbiana County, where Rick and I, by the way, my husband's right back over here, and he doesn't want to give you his first name, he always writes Mr. Jennifer Brunner. But Columbiana County, which I won in 2006, I think I won it in 2020, didn't I, Rick? But it had been so red but in 2025, the county chair had to have a list in front of him to remember all the names of the Democrats who won. There's something afoot, and we can go ahead and build on that. And even if I wouldn't win some of these counties who are here today, if I lower my margins, it all adds up. Any more, you can't count on Cleveland, Columbus, Cincinnati to have the turnout that we need in order for Democrats to win in Ohio. But if we can make the impact all over the state and turn something light blue or light pink, it works. It all adds up, because it's just, in my case, in most of the cases, it's 50% plus 1 unless there's an independent running. And in my case, there's 4 people running in a primary, at least 4, to take me on. At least my colleague who was going to run against me in the middle of his term dropped out. I sort of called him a plain dealer, and he chickened out. So he got a lot of criticism. So it's doable for Ohio. I'm excited about the candidates who are running at the top of the ticket. Some people consider me to be at the top of the ticket because of my years of campaigning statewide. This is my 5th statewide race. And if I'll be glad to be considered at the top of the ticket if I can help bring home a robust change to the state that you and I love so much. So thank you very much.